Breaking news team is back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still a Kansas City Chief. Let's talk about it.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
That's right. You heard it right. Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signed with the Chiefs. 1-year deal, first reported by Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report. I'm Tucker Franklin, joined by Matthew Lane. We are the breaking news team right now. Could be joined by more people. Who knows? That's how the breaking news team goes. We fly by the seat of our pants. Matthew, first thoughts on Clyde Edwards-Helaire returning to the Kansas City Chiefs?
Let's go. What's broke? What's broke don't need fixing. That's the motto of Brett Veach. Just bring back everybody that was part of the back-to-back run, and you're destined to three-peat, right? Like, I think that's the way they're operating, and it's hard to argue. So Clyde is back. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? He's a guy that's been here. He understands the system. He knows what's going on. They aren't going to ask him to be a running back one, and he seems to be okay with that based on how his usage has been the last couple of years. You know, he fits really well into the locker room. You know that everybody around likes him. So everything about it just seems to make a lot of sense, even if it's probably not the most inspiring news that I think some fans are looking for. It really does make a lot of sense for what you assume is going to be a very, very minimal type of deal for him for 1 year.
Absolutely. And this comes off the heels of earlier today on Tuesday, we had learned that J.K. Dobbins was in the building. J.K. Dobbins was in Kansas City taking a free agency visit to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs needed some help in the running back department when you started to look at their depth chart with both Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon becoming free agents. Their backup running backs, they didn't have a whole lot there. They do sign Reese Lightning to kind of take up some people assume a backup running back spot, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back kind of solves a little bit of some questions for as terms of the backup running back position.
Yeah, he does. And like I said, I think it's about having a guy you're familiar with, right? Like I think there is more, and we can talk about, J.K. Dobbins a little bit later on here. This should be about Clyde right now. It's just a guy that pre-hip injury as a rookie, he really did flash stuff that makes you think that he could be a starting running back in the NFL. That hip injury, I believe it was against the Saints, really took a lot away from him. And I think it's been probably difficult for him trying to figure out where he fits in the NFL because he wasn't the most explosive. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the biggest guy, but he had great change of direction ability. And he lost that with this hip injury. So now it seems like he's been trying to find his footing going forward. It seems like he's kind of figured it out. He's got a role. He has got a role on an NFL team as a change of pace kind of back. We saw him this last year look a little bit thicker out there on the football field, and it worked out well, though. Like, he was falling forward. He was picking up a little bit, some hard yards. He makes sense for where the Chiefs and where they are right now. I would say, if I had to guess right now, I wonder what this says about Jerick McKinnon coming back. I wonder if they were having to decide between the two of them. And while McKinnon has probably been a better player, Clyde's younger, probably has a little bit more left in the tank. I wonder if bringing Clyde back as the veteran, as the guy that's been here, I wonder if that says more about what they think about bringing McKinnon back versus adding another player to the rotation.
Interesting note from Nate Taylor here, who just tweeted, can confirm Clyde Edwards-Helaire has agreed to a 1-year deal to re-sign with the Chiefs per sources. Sidebar, this is me talking now. I can't imagine that deal's a whole lot of money. But back to Nate talking. As for J.K. Dobbins, I'm told his visit today was productive for both parties, perhaps a partnership that could happen later this offseason. So I think that a lot of people are surprised with Clyde coming back because I think a lot of people assumed that Clyde was going to be gone. And not to any fault of Clyde's own, right? You mentioned the hip injury that kind of, I don't want to say derailed his career because he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. I mean, a guy who did everything once he became into a role player for the Kansas City Chiefs, was a very productive role player for the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of a backup running back. He knows the system. Now coming back, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is good. It's a good re-signing. And look, Maddie, little peek behind the curtain. I know a lot of people might not have expected this one, but I've had the Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signing thumbnail made for quite some time now. Because I just felt like in my bones that was a very Chiefsy move in terms of bringing back Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Do you also have a Mike Dana in MVS?
I didn't get the MVS. Mike Dana's been made for some time, Maddie. I'll tell you what, Mike Dana's getting some dust on it in terms of how long I've had the Mike Dana one made. But no, 1 year deal again. Ian Rappaport retweets it's a 1 year deal, and both Rappaport and Nate reiterating that J.K. Dobbins is still a free agent. So nothing materializing from that visit that came today with J.K. Dobbins. And it really interesting, Maddie. Do you think that there's something coming? There's something about that where Dobbins is on a visit today, but then they announce Clyde signing. Is that something, or am I reading too much?
So I wanted to come on here and say, because the first thing I saw said that, the Dobbins was still in the building, right? The first report said they signed Clyde, but like J.K. Dobbins was there for in the building. And like my initial thought was like, hey, maybe they should just go ahead and bring both of them in. And then you essentially round out your running back room for the year. I'm not saying long-term that's the answer, but if you sign Clyde and J.K. Dobbins and you have Isaiah Pacheco, you probably don't need to spend a day 2 pick or an early day 3 pick on a running back. You probably don't need to sign anybody else. You get the whole room knocked out with 2 younger guys, one guy with a high upside, the other guy in Clyde, where you know the floor. You're the Chiefs. You know what the floor is for Clyde. So it makes a lot of sense. The thing that was the way with Nate reporting it and the way Rap Sheet's now reporting it now that Dobbins is now or still a free agent and Nate saying maybe later on the offseason, it puts a little bit more finality to it. And now I do wonder if whether it was Dobbins' asking price was higher. Maybe the Chiefs brought in Dobbins to just see like, hey, okay, we know we have this option for Clyde. Here's this offer that they will agree to. I wonder what Dobbins would take. Do we want to bring him in here? Or if the physical didn't go well, like we'll just have to play it by ear. But the way it has been reported since Clyde signed that now J.K. Dobbins is still a free agent makes me less confident than I was as of, 7 minutes ago when we started this up.
Right. We appreciate everybody joining and watching us live at the time. If you're listening to it after the fact, we appreciate you as well. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review if you are listening on any podcast platform, watching this on YouTube. Drop a like, drop a subscribe to make sure that you're always up to date with the breaking news team as we are going live for breaking news. As you can see here, I got the sports coat on, so that means I mean business. So we appreciate everybody joining us here as we are recapping Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Very exciting. Very exciting day when it comes to re-signings for the Chiefs. There's a lot of running back news going on in Kansas City. Lots of different running backs in Kansas City. But Maddie, something I was bringing up to you, when you start to look at the backup running backs, the running back depth chart, I'm looking at it at our lads right now. You had Isaiah Pacheco, obviously the guy. He's your number one running back right now. But then it gets a little interesting because you go LaMichael Pirine, not a ton of snaps for LaMichael Pirine last year. Deneric Prince didn't get, I don't think, a single offensive snap last year. He played some special teams. I don't think he played any offensive snaps. Then you have Luis Reese-Zammit, who has never played football before. And then you have Keontae Ingram and Hassan Hall. That's the running back room prior to the re-signing of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Makes sense to get a guy in there. And you usually want like 3 guys, right? You usually want 3 guys that you feel pretty comfortable toting the rock, especially at a position with such a high injury rate when it comes to running backs. You want a few guys that you feel comfortable with. Do you think that they are done at the running back position after re-signing Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
No, I don't. It's just a matter of now, is it going to be somebody that signed before the draft, or is it going to be somebody that they bring in after the draft when, I don't want to say things don't fall their way, but when they get to play out the draft and see if they come out of somebody that they like coming out of the NFL draft, right? Like, I think at this point you can go in, not pencil in, right? Because somebody could change it, but you can say Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are our running back 1-2. You are now looking for the 3rd guy. You're looking for a Jerick McKinnon replacement. And I think they probably would feel confident enough now to ride that out to the draft, sign somebody later. Maybe that still does mean, maybe it does mean Jerick McKinnon comes back. I think the Clyde thing says like they probably look somewhere else. They probably try to bring in some other fresh blood, probably something that's a little bit more dynamic because Jerick McKinnon's lost a step. Clyde just isn't dynamic at all as a player, right? And so maybe that's the route I think they would go. I don't think they're done. It's hard to say if it's going to happen anytime soon. And I say this, and I hope that we get another breaking news team edition tonight where they bring in J.K. Dobbins, because I really like that fit here. I think that would make a lot of sense if they also were able to bring him in. I just don't know if they're going to be in a rush to make that happen with, having these 2 guys signed. They might feel okay riding this out until the draft.
I do appreciate everyone responding to me on Twitter about the breaking news team saying just maybe wait until they sign Dobbins. No respect for a 3-time Super Bowl champion running back who was a first-round pick, I guess. But nevertheless, we are here. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Drop some questions in the chat if you want us to answer. Maddie and I will be hanging out for a few more minutes here as we are breaking down, obviously, the Chiefs re-signing running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They did have a visit with J.K. Dobbins earlier today. He's still a free agent. They did not sign J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins also visited with the Chargers, I think, last week. So I think Dobbins wants to visit all these teams that he has planned. This isn't like recruiting, Maddie, in the old college ranks. If they cancel their visits, they go visit a team and then they cancel the rest of their visits. He wants to go see all of the schools. He wants to go see all the programs. He wants to see all the organizations before he makes choice. Gotta respect it. He does have a pretty big laundry list of injuries in terms of his past and some pretty big injuries. So we'll see how that goes. And Maddie, I think you made a really good point about his price point's probably going to be a little bit higher than Clyde Edwards-Helaire's price point was going to be. So
can it be though? He's played, I don't know. He's played 9 games in the past 3 years, right? And so to your point of he's visited the Chargers, the Chiefs, I'm sure there's going to be another one coming out. It sounds like his agent's doing a very good job keeping his name out there.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's played 9 games in 3 years, right? How many, are we sure? Are we 100% sure that J.K. Dobbins has a bigger market than Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the open market? Or are we just making sure we keep Dobbins' name? Is his agent making sure he keeps his name out there? It's it's weird. The visits and not signing a deal are interesting. At the NFL, if a player visits in person and that team wants them there, especially this time of the year, and they pass the physical, they usually sign. And now we are going on 2 visits for Dobbins where he is going to be leaving a team, presumably. We don't know what's going to happen with the Chiefs, but 2 teams, if he doesn't sign with the Chiefs, where he's visited the team in person and left without a deal. Is that everyone's just offering me vet minimum? So I'm going to continue to shop myself. I can't make any less money than this. I can't get a worse offer than what I'm already getting. So let me continue to look around. Or is his asking price just too high and he's not willing to settle? I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. It's just, I do find it interesting that Dobbins has now visited 2 teams that have been interested in his services. And it looks like we are heading, unfortunately, or, maybe this changes, but it looks like we're heading to both those teams not signing him while he's in the building.
A question from Tim on X. He asked us, is there a scenario where we keep CEH and McKinnon and sign Dobbins? I guess possibly. It's going to depend on the contract I really do not anticipate, as the time we're recording this, right? We don't have the numbers for Clyde Edwards-Helaire's contracts. I cannot imagine that it is a whole lot more than what he made last year. It just doesn't seem like
Financially, yeah, I think all 3 guys, you could do it. Just they all are getting vet minimum short-term deals. You can make it work financially. I don't know if they would bring back though. To me, it feels like it was a Clyde or Jerick McKinnon. You're getting one guy in that knows the system, and then you're going to use the other anticipated slot to bring in somebody to get a little bit more upside. And that's why Dobbins makes the most sense, and because he's in the building. But you can even stretch that out to whether you want to look at the draft and whether it's an early pick, a late pick, whatever. You want to wait and see what maybe teams cut which running backs in June, right? It feels like now that you have Clyde back, there's going to be zero rush to get Jet McKinnon back. And now if you take another swing at the running back position, it's going to be somebody with a little bit higher ceiling, because that's what they're missing. They got back the safety net with Clyde. They got back a guy that is competent, going to go out there and know the playbook. He's going to be competent going out there and pass pro. He's going to be competent as a runner in this system. Now you can go take a little bit of a bigger swing, whereas I don't know if bringing Jerick McKinnon back, especially anytime before training camp, late training camp, makes a ton of sense for the outlook of the team.
Interesting moves starting to now come in after the Chiefs do get some cap space because of the L'Jarius Sneed trade officially coming off the books. Their moves coming in are Carson Wentz as the backup quarterback. I still can't believe that, Matthew, that Carson Wentz is the backup quarterback of this team. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Thoughts on Carson Wentz, I guess, before we get out of here, Matty? We didn't get your thoughts on Carson's re-signing, or signing, I should say.
Big QB who has arm that goes woo. That's about all I got, right? Yeah. I think the Chiefs have liked him for a little bit. I think that the Chiefs have been general fans, I think, of Carson Wentz. I think it goes back to at least last year, if not longer, where they've been at least mildly interested in him as a backup. The Chiefs consistently having interest in backup QBs is funny to me, because they haven't really like flipped one for anything, but every year they're interested in a guy or two as their backup question. I don't know. It's interesting to me that they are able to identify guys that they like as backups to Mahomes in case he gets injured so like vividly. Yeah, Carson Wentz is what he is. Like, right, he's got the most game experience of any of these, QBs that they've brought in to be backups lately.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he has to come in, he'll be fine. I don't love Carson Wentz's game. I think Carson Wentz's game translates pretty poorly to what the Chiefs and Andy Reid typically do, but they've liked him for a while, so they must see something that they do think that translates. He did have his most productive years with Doug Peterson coming, from Kansas City to Philly. So, right. I guess there's some overlap there. I just don't know how well his game translates because he plays behind and out of sync with everybody else more than Mahomes, but not in a fun way, in a very, very unfun way. So that's where it's really strange to me to see Andy Reid be so big into Carson Wentz.
Is like the chaotic good is Patrick Mahomes, right? But then the chaotic evil is Carson Wentz. I want to give a shout out to this question from Poto. OMG, is this news really necessary to air? Come on, guys, like
Absolutely.
anyone really cares. Thanks for watching. That's all I want to say. I think that this is again. Let's talk about the Chiefs re-signing of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's other questions in the chat too about J.K. Dobbins, obviously in on the visit as well. We'll see where it goes. See where this materializes in terms of the Chiefs. They do need help in the running back position. Like that wasn't a surprise when it comes in here. I don't think this really hurts anything. Clyde coming back doesn't, I think, take anything out of the plans of what the Chiefs have planned for this free agency. I don't think that this is going to be one of those moves where it takes you out of the running for somebody, Matthew.
No, I mean, not at all. It doesn't change anything whatsoever. You get Clyde to come in because, again, I know people have different concepts of what competent is, but the Chiefs feel comfortable putting Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there on any pass play, any run play, any play that's asking him to block. Whether or not you think he's good or not on those doesn't matter, or me or Tucker. It doesn't matter what any of us think about him being good on those plays. The Chiefs feel comfortable putting him out there. That matters, especially for the running back position. So if McKinnon isn't going to come back, or that's a decision that they don't want to go down right now, you need somebody that they have trust in to put out there on all three downs. He's that guy. And now you can go take a swing, whether that's in the draft, whether that's a Dobbins, whether that's another free agent, whatever. You can now go swing and try to get better at running back too. I don't think they made this move to make Clyde their running back too. He played 200 snaps last year. I don't think they brought him back to come in and be a significant factor. He is providing a floor, a 3-down floor for a team that feels comfortable with him for those 3 downs. That's all that move is. And this now gives you the platform to try to reach and take somebody a little bit more dynamic to be RB2.
I think so. And if you want more breakdowns of everything going on with the Kansas City Chiefs, make sure to subscribe to the KCSN Substack. Go to kcsn.substack.com. You can subscribe. $30 a year, $5 a month. You can get breakdowns from Matthew Lane, Craig Stout, Kent Swanson, also articles from Tyler Brown, and also our data scientist, Joseph Hefner. You can get his articles there too. Craig's got a really good one out right now about wide receivers and how they were used. But thanks to True Media, he went back and looked at some of the good routes and everything that the Chiefs have been using there. So make sure to go check that out. Our breaking news coverage is brought to you by our Substack, our KCSN daily newsletter that gets delivered right to your inbox every single day. So you don't really want to miss that out on that if you are a Chiefs fan, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us on YouTube. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Only Weird Games will be going live in about an hour at 4:30, 4:40-ish. They'll be going live in about an hour to be talking about running backs, I guess. I mean, I guess it's a running back discourse day, Maddie.
Let's go.
Who would have thought it's a running back discourse day when this day started?
I did want to say this real quick before we got out of here. You mentioning True Media makes me talk about, so I can go back and we're looking here through True Media stuff. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his past 3 seasons, right? It's you give a guy that's a rookie a grace period of coming into the NFL. So his past 3 seasons, he's only had, I'm looking at here, 48 pass blocking snaps, right? Not very many. 48's not a lot, but he's been injured. He hasn't been a full-time player, but 48 pass reps. He's only given up 3 pressures on those. We're looking at a sub 7% pressure rate. And now it's not a big sample size at all, That's like half of what Jerick McKinnon's was. And we all know that Jerick McKinnon's very good in pass protection, right? So like, if again, I think they are adding Clyde to give themselves a safe floor of a guy that they can trust to put out there. I know there's plenty of examples of Clyde maybe not being great in pass pro. A lot of them are from earlier in his career, but over the time, he's gotten a little bit better and a little bit better. His pressure rate given up over the past 3 seasons is 6%. You know what Pacheco's is? 16. There's a big gap there. You want to tell me you're just trying to get a safe floor to protect Mahomes on third downs and McKinnon's just not the way you're going to go, at least right now? Clyde makes a ton of sense. I understand it's not a sexy pick, but he fulfills this role of a guy that maybe they feel can be competent in pass pro. You know he can catch the football even if he's not overly dynamic afterwards. So like, again, he makes a lot of sense. I don't think there's any reason for anyone to be upset about this one.
I totally agree. I think it's a good note to end on. As I mentioned, Only Bird Games live at 4:30 on this here YouTube page. You can listen to it probably tomorrow morning on the audio channels, late tonight on the audio channels as well. And if you're listening to this on the audio channel, make sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. Let us know what you think of the breaking news team. We really do. I have fun going live for these breaking news things, even though whatever people might say in the comments about if it's breaking news or not, who cares? Because I enjoy going live from and breaking down these moves for you guys. And I hope that you guys enjoy these podcasts as well, because we really appreciate you guys and you allow us to do this. And it's a really great thing. But once again, the Chiefs re-signed running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 1-year deal. Numbers aren't available at the time of this recording, but we can assume it's probably a vet minimum contract. But the Chiefs are bolstering up their running back room. We'll have more information as the days go on about what the Chiefs are doing in off season. We'll have the KC Laboratory going live on Wednesday night. Make sure to check them out. Chiefs News Daily also premiering at 7 p.m. tonight. Check that out as well. So for Maddie Lane, I'm Tucker Franklin. We will see you guys next time with more breaking news. And look, hey, last night's breaking news team, I called Mike Dana after the lab. I'm going to see you guys after the lab. That's what it is. After the lab for Mike Dana. We'll catch you next time.
Go sign Dobbins too.